Earlier this year, Xiaomi announced not one, but two flagships, the Mi Note and the Mi Note Pro. I reviewed the Mi Note back in April, and it's now time to check out the other flagship that Xiaomi announced, the Mi Note Pro. So is this a phone that's worth your time and attention, and more importantly, your money? Well, let's find out in this video. But before we do, if this is your first time here, or in case you just can't remember, my name is Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching my full review of the Xiaomi Mi Note Pro. Let's get started. As always, let's start with the build. The Mi Note Pro is built identical to the Mi Note, with the only differences being cosmetic. The metal to the sides gold instead of silver, and so is the Mi logo on the back. Now, if I were to play this little clip from a Mi Note review, as good as Xiaomi's build quality has been, it's always felt a little inspired. This time around, Xiaomi's come up with something that they could call their own. We've got metal to the sides, the 3.5mm headphone jack and secondary noise cancelling microphone sit on top, the power button and the volume rockers to the right, a micro USB port and a grill for the speaker and the primary microphone at the bottom, and a dual SIM card slot to the left. To the front, on top, we have the sensors, notification LED, earpiece, 4-megapixel front-facing camera, lower below, a 5.7-inch display, and a trio of capacitive keys at the bottom. Note that the front is covered by 2.5D Gorilla Glass, meaning it curves subtly to the sides. To the back, we have a 13-megapixel rear camera with a dual LED flash, and at the bottom, Mi branding. The back is covered by 3D Gorilla Glass, meaning the sides curve a lot. Picture the Galaxy S6 Edge, but in reverse. Overall, the Mi Note looks great, feels well constructed, the buttons feel tactile, and at 6.95mm, it's pretty slim. It's still large, and single-handed usage is not going to be possible at most times, but despite the 161-gram weight, it doesn't feel really unwieldy. But then again, like most phones with glass to the back, you're going to have to be a little more careful with the handling. Everything I've said would hold true for the Mi Note Pro as well. But with the display this time around, we have Quad HD, a Gorilla Glass 3 covered 5.7-inch Quad HD display that gives the Mi Note Pro a pixel density of 515 pixels per inch. This is a decent display. It's sharp, produces colors accurately, the blacks are deep, and there's no color shifting at different angles. The downside is that it's not too bright, meaning sunlight legibility is average. Now, underneath the hood, the Mi Note Pro is powered by the 64-bit Snapdragon 810 chip. This houses two sets of quad cores. First, a power-efficient set of 4 Cortex A53 cores clocked at 1.5 GHz each, and then another set of high-performance Cortex A57 cores clocked at 2 GHz each. These are coupled with an adreno 430 GPU and 4 gigs of RAM. Xiaomi says they use a revised version of the 810 chip and that they've added their own patented solutions to fix the overheating issues. But sadly, that's not entirely true. With regular day-to-day usage, I haven't had the Mi Note Pro heat up a lot, yes, but when pushed, say for example while gaming, even with games that aren't too intensive, the Mi Note Pro did heat up quite a bit. But that being said, it doesn't really affect performance, and the Mi Note Pro kept chugging along quite nicely. The audio output via the single downwards facing speaker was quite loud and clear, much louder than on the Mi 4. Audio playback via the 3.5mm headphone jack was pretty good too. It's worth noting that the Mi Note Pro has great cellular reception and call quality. I do have reception issues in my office. I usually walk out the moment I get a call. With the Mi Note Pro, this has been one of the very few phones with which I've managed to take calls while remaining inside the office. So kudos to Xiaomi here. By the way, the Mi Note Pro doesn't have support for NFC, microSD, or even the IR blaster from the Mi 4 isn't present here. Moving on, let's now talk about the cameras. Now, this is the same camera from the Mi Note, meaning it performs great. Images shot with this 13-megapixel shooter retain a good amount of detail, colors are accurate, the dynamic range is good, it's quick to focus, and the shutter speed's fast too. The user interface is similar to what we've seen in the past with the Mi Note and the Mi 4. We have 3 panes, common filters to the right and modes to the left. The manual mode gives you an extra bit of control. The cog icon below gives you access to more of the regular options. It's all pretty self-explanatory. The Mi Note Pro can also shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second, and the resulting footage is good. Again, just like with still images, there's plenty of detailed result, everything's sharp, the footage is smooth thanks to the optical image stabilization on board, and the frame rate's also stable. To the front we have a 4 megapixel camera with a 2 micron pixel size. This is similar to HTC's ultra pixel camera. Though it lacks autofocus, it shoots great selfies. Anyway, for a more in-depth look at the cameras on the Mi Note Pro, feel free to check out my full camera review. I'll leave a link to that video in the description along with a card here. Now, let's move on to the software. The Mi Note Pro runs on Android 5 Lollipop with Xiaomi's custom MIUI 6 on top. MIUI is a pretty heavy interface, meaning barring the Lollipop Easter egg, there isn't a lot that's changed since MIUI 6 on KitKat. The icons are flat, it still lacks an app drawer, and if you aren't a fan of this design, you can change it all from the Themes app. MIUI is extremely customizable. You can even take individual aspects from themes and mix and match. For example, you could use the icons pack from a certain theme and the lock screen from another, and so on. MIUI is also very intuitive, and there are a lot of features that I find useful. Right from the way you manage icons on the home screens to the way MIUI handles notifications, it all feels easy to use but does provide you a lot of granular control over almost every aspect of the interface. One of the highlights of MIUI is its robust security app. This lets you manage permissions, scan for viruses, remove junk files, manage your battery settings, and a lot more. There are also a lot of Xiaomi's own apps included, and these usually look and work great. Like I said, MIUI is quite intuitive and user-friendly. Whether it's installing a bunch of apps at the same time or turning on the flashlight real quick, it all starts feeling natural once you spend a week or two with this phone. Now, MIUI is not without its flaws. Usually, it has some minor stutters when you try to do too many things at the same time. But with the A10 chip underneath and the 4 gigs of RAM on board, this is not the case with the Mi Note Pro. It's extremely fast, snappy, apps open up quick, and there's no lag. Even after a session of intense gaming, when the phone does get hot and there's a bit of throttling underneath, it never gets bad enough to affect day-to-day usage. Kudos to Xiaomi on nailing the user experience here. With that, we get to the battery. The Mi Note Pro is powered by a 3000 mAh non-user replaceable battery, and sadly, the battery life is just average at best. On a looping video playback test, the Mi Note Pro lasted a little less than 7 hours before running out of juice. With a regular day of usage, I got just about 2 to 2.5 hours of screen on time, meaning I had to be quite frugal with my usage to get this phone to get through a day on a single charge. I've said this before in my Mi Note review, and I'll say it again now. I really wish Xiaomi put in a larger battery. Yes, that would have made the Mi Note Pro thicker than the iPhone 6 Plus, but unlike Xiaomi, I don't think the majority of the end users would really care about that. What do you feel? Do you agree with Xiaomi wanting to keep the Mi Note Pro slimmer than the iPhone 6 Plus at the expense of battery life? Or would you have preferred seeing a larger battery here? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, with that, we get to the price. The Mi Note Pro is currently priced at about $480 and is available with only 64 gigs of onboard storage. And at that price, it does seem to be a good buy since it checks almost all boxes barring one: battery life. But that is one huge box to leave unchecked. But then again, if you're someone who uses your phone sparingly and can put up with a subpar battery life, the Mi Note Pro does offer great value. So anyway, if you do want to pick a Mi Note Pro up, it's not available out of China just yet, so you could get one from merrymobiles.com. Do note that when you do buy from a third-party reseller, the prices might be a little higher. Anyway, I'll leave a direct link along with the discount code in the description below. So with that, we get to the end of this review. Hope you guys liked it, hope you found it useful. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up. If you didn't, vote it down. Do let me know what you didn't like. Feedback's always welcome, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do. So thanks a lot for watching, guys. Till next time, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.